I'll be covering the whole aspect of pet ownership in this video. So I'm going to start it out with Genesis 1:25. And God made the beasts of the earth after his kind, and cattle after their kind, and every creeping thing, and everything that creepeth upon the earth after his kind. And God saw that it was good. So I want to delve into the whole aspect, of animals serving their purpose, in a sense of nature. As it's written, when you understand animals, when we have animals, we say the animal is ours. The Father made animals. So he said, that's my dog, that's my cat, that's my pet. We didn't create anything. You know what I'm saying? But when we have animals, animals serve a purpose. They do work for the kingdom's sake. They do work to uphold nature. They like the burden of beast. They do beast of burden work. So, dogs, say, protect the sheep or the hens or, things of that nature. Animals, work in the field and things of that nature, you know what I'm saying? Versus, we domesticating them and saying, this is my dog, this is my cat, this is my snake, this is my bird, or things of that nature, taking them out of their element. You know what I'm saying? And I'm going to explain how that all can be a snare. So, that's why they have the whole element of this is my emotional support animal. So, a dog is not about to tell you, to put down that alcohol. A dog not going to tell you to put down your cigarette. A dog not about to tell you to stop, sitting there snorting your cocaine. A dog not about to tell you to stop eating 50 plates of food. When you eating that food and it drop on the ground, that dog going to just eat it with you, you know what I mean? The cat not about to sit there and tell you, oh, you need to stop causing all that drama, and stop holding grudges or anything of that nature. People just, they can't speak. So, yeah, animal can be there. Animal can sense when a person, it might be feeling a certain way or whatever, but that's not going to solve anything for your soul. What solves things for your soul, as it's written in James 5:16, confess your faults one to another and pray one for another that ye may be healed. The effectual fervent prayer of a righteous man availeth much. So we have to understand that the whole element of dealing, with people, and confessing our sins one to another, praying for one another that we may be healed. So that's why Satan loves to cause issues between human beings, and then they just go get their cat and they stay to themselves. So we're gonna talk about it. For instance, like a person had a dog. They go, oh, well, I don't want no children or anything like that. I just got my cat, I got my dog. I don't got time for all the responsibilities with children, but they'll get a dog sitter. You know what I'm saying? Or I got to find somebody to watch my dog while I go out of town for a weekend, or a week on this cruise. I got to get somebody to watch my dog, man. You'll go over there every day at 3 p.m. and give him some food. Make sure he get outside, make sure he go use the bathroom every day at this time, blah, 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 blah. Or they'll wake up at 4 or 2 in the morning. They say they go to work at 8 a.m., 6 a.m., whatever. They waking up at 2 a.m., letting their dog out to go use the restroom. And then that dog come back in, after he done licked his behind, his bottom, he come back in and then jump in the bed, didn't sanitize or anything. Then he lick you on the face. You know what I'm saying? Think about how unsanitary, how many parasites. We're going to get into all of that, I'm going to get into that in a minute. But just think about that whole element. So they push that same spirit, the same ones who be supporting, oh, yeah, we got to worry about the dogs and the cats, the cats and the dogs and the cats, and they're the ones who support abortion. So, they put animal life above human life. Now, when you understand